Okay, lesson 42. Let's read it first. Jim, where are you? Is there any problem? Your video is turned off. Okay, Jim, please turn on your video, please. Okay, let's read it. Um, James, would you read?
Yehi Adonai Eloheka Baruch.
Good job. One more time. Romero.
Yehi Adonai Eloheka Baruch.
Okay, good job. Today we are going to talk about Joseph. I think I briefly mentioned about this yesterday. After learning about quantitative. So in fact, quantitative is made up by putting prefix form together with what is it? What is the indicator of quantitative? The important indicator,
Hey.
Mhm.
ah, hey, right? So it makes a sound. So we can say that in order for us to make quantitative, lengthening should take place. So he means lengthening. And at the same time, what else do we expect as a secondary important indicator?
First person prefix.
Right? Always it should come with prefix, especially first person. Yeah, yeah, you're right. And then what else?
The suffix
Okay, it's
uh,
na, but yeah, na
na.
particle. Yeah, the name is particle na. So na means please and now. But you will understand that na is that na can be used not only for causative, but it can come also for other forms such as imperative and even jussive. I want to say that if normally it is coming in the form of prefix form. So in terms of the distinction between prefix form and causative, imperative, and jussive, I mean, imperative is just okay because you need to take out the prefix pronoun in the beginning. But when it comes to the appearance of causative and jussive, which are for the first persons and the third persons, actually you cannot see much difference. Although you may see in terms of the lengthening in case of causative. But to tell you the conclusion about today's lesson, when it comes to jussive, it's so much hard. I need to say that there are some indicators, but the indicators are not always working. So most of the time, you need to be dependent on the context to discern the usage of justice. Okay. So anyway, we need to talk about all those distinctive indicators of justice reform, although it's not always working, but there are some. Okay. Let's talk about first verb. Where can you find the first verb? Anyone? We have four words. Number one, number two, number three, number four. So it seems like a number two, number three are not the verbs. But should it be either number one, number four? Or do you think? I know it's a bit hard to answer because we have two verbs. So the first and the last. They are all verbs. So, in fact, today's lesson is not simply about just form, but we need to talk about cal passive participle. So, the first one falls in the area of Joseph, and then the last one, Baruch, is out of a passive participle form. So, I'm going to ask you to recognize something unusual from the first. Can you see? As I said, this is a verb, and then how do you analyze everything? Root letters, stem, verb. Okay, can you recognize? You can use your verb chart as well. Okay, do it by yourself. How can you recognize it? The stem, form, root letters. Tim, where are you? Are you listening to us? Okay, never mind. Okay, anyone else who is the brave student to analyze this?
Can you give us a hint, sir?
Okay, this is a prefix form. And then one letter is missing.
Hiya.
Great. Samson, are you driving?
I'm in the passenger seat in the back, just watching.
Oh, very great. So, okay. So why do you think this is a haya, Samson?
Just because it looks, I don't know. I don't have any reason. It's just it looks like Hiya in my vocab.
You need to share your secret. Okay. But it's all about your feeling. Okay. But anyway, as I said, this one is prefix pronoun. And actually, this one is third he, hi, yeah. So there is no specific reason that you know. Because if you have verb conversive, then it makes sense. Because when this prefix form of the third he is attached to verb conversive, then what do we expect? Actually, the third he will be shortened. Okay. But without the verb conversive, we cannot expect the shortening. That's why this shortening is the most important indicator of today's lesson, new lesson, justice. Okay. So let me tell you the conclusion. How are you going to acknowledge justice? If you have shortening of the root letter at the end, then that must be justice. But this clue of shortening will not happen all the time. It will happen in case of a third head verb. One more time. If we are dealing with a third head verb, and then if that verb is used in the jussive form, then this shortening must be taking place. Okay? But not the another question is what if we are dealing with a strong verb or the verbs that are not third he? Then what will happen? Nothing will happen. Even in the form of just see. This is a very tricky. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you are dealing with a third he verb and then you can see the third he without any reason. Another question is okay, what if we are dealing with verb conversive with for a third he verb? Because as I said, when a third he verb is attached to verb conversive form, then the third he tends to be dropped off as well. Not simply for just see, but simply for a prefix. That's why it is really becoming tricky. So you need to really discern it from the context. Okay. But if you have a prefix form, third persons with either yod, okay, what is the other third here? I mean, third prefix form, you have the yod in the beginning and then shurek at the end, right? So those are all third person prefix forms without verb conversive. And then you cannot see the third he, then you need to think about what is that just see. But also in case of three masculine plural, you will not be able to see the third he as well. So in fact, it doesn't really help in case of third person masculine plural as well. So the best clue that I can just let you know regarding the indicator of Joseph is that shortening, but not all the time. So most of the time you need to discern it from the context. And the usage of Joseph is not really common. So if you are dealing with third person prefix form, then you better stay with prefix form. But if you think the context clearly, tells about this idea of let me or may I, then you need to use it without any uh, important indicator. Okay, so that's all about the Joseph indicator. And let's look at this. By the way, we will come back to this Joseph, and we're going to deal with each slide to review. Okay, as I said, this is another verb. Anything special that you can recognize?
Barack.
Right, you're right, Amos. It's Barak. And why is this special?
Oh, by the way, Professor, there's one more thing I want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in the book of Jeremiah, like Jeremiah has a secretary named Baruch,
Mm-hmm.
which, perhaps is the transliteration of this word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
could, yeah.
yeah. Actually, as you know, the Hebrew people have Hebrew names, and then it carries all the meaning. So
Yeah.
it's not only Baruch, but even what is it, Abraham, Eliza, and those people all carried all the nuance of Hebrew words. So I think it's the same word. It has
Okay.
something to do with this,
So
right?
I
Thank you for
mean
the question.
the spelling, the vowel pointing, like
Uh-huh.
in both the name and also this call passive participle, they are the same.
Actually, I need to go back and double check because I
Okay.
haven't really paid attention to it. But I think you can do it by yourself after learning this, and then just let us know if you can find anything there. Okay,
Okay.
because
Okay.
there can be other possibility of having the same pronunciation, but I guess probably it's the same. Okay, but anyway,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
so all right, you are right, Amos. This is barak Hebrew verb, but what is the special stuff that we can see for the first time?
Hirek.
Hirek? Where can you see Hirek?
Here, Baruch. Why there is Hirek?
Where is the Hirek? I cannot see Hirek.
Baruch.
Oh, that's
Correct.
Shurek.
Shurek. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You already forgot the Shurek ear, right?
Yeah.
So that's a Shurek, right? Sharon, you're right. To treat Shurek as a special stuff here. Actually, we don't have any reason why we have Shurek here all of a sudden. If this is the Hebrew verb barak. And then have you ever learned anything like this before? No. So Shurek between the second and the third root letters is the most important indicator of Kal passive participle. So now you can see that, oh, there is one more form of a participle. So we've learned about participle, but there is another one called passive participle. Well, what is the function of passive participle? Actually, passive participle has a function to make the verb an adjective. Okay, so let's say barak means what? To bless. So when it is used in the form of passive participle, you just make it adjective. Then blessed, it means blessed. Is that clear? All right. So, but you have to analyze this one as a verb. Although we will treat it as an adjective, but it is what is it? Uh, Coming from the original form of the verb. So having the form of passive participle, you are supposed to analyze it using your verb analysis table. Okay, so let me do this. I think I just told you everything that you have to remember today. Then let's move on so that we can take a look at each slide for the detailed explanation. Kanae, would you read, please?
Adjective, a third person prefix form, singular or plural, may be used as adjective, a command given in a third person. Adjective conjugation is used to express either a mild command or a strong wish. It occurs in the third person, 3ms, 3fs, 3mp, 3fp. When translating the adjective, you can use the same keywords let or may as with the cohortative. Like the imperative and cohortative, the particle na also occurs with the adjective.
Okay, would you stop there? As I said, the last one is important. Okay, as we have a difficulty to recognize the presence of Joseph because the shortening of the verb is not going to happen all the time. Okay, so then if you have a Joseph form, I mean a prefix form third person, then at the same time you can see na, then you better think about this possibility of Joseph. Okay, so the presence of na particle indicates, the sense of a mild commandment and strong wish. Okay, then the translation will be let him, okay, or may him. So na is another important indicator for the Joseph. Okay, clear? Okay, let's move on. Sharon, would you read, please?
Yes, sir. Uh, with strong verb, the gesive is the same as its corresponding prefix form. The prefix translation value is far more frequent than the gesive translation. Context should suggest the correct in identification. When the particle na occur, it is most likely adjective.
Okay, so as I already mentioned, the usage of a prefix form is far more frequent than the just see. So, without any concrete clue, you better stay with the possibility of a prefix form. But if you see, the clear indicator of shortening in case of the third head verbs, okay, prefix form, third person, and at the same time, na, the particle na, then you better think about just the possibility. Okay, move on. So as you can see, there are three examples here for just see. Let me think. Okay, the first one is Jakar and praise the Lord. You can see na. Unfortunately, this is not a third head verb, so which means we cannot see any clear clue of shortening because this is not a third head verb, right? Then, uh, in order for us to see the possibility of Joseph, you need to focus on the context. But we have not. So then you need to start thinking about, the Joseph possibility first before prefix. Okay. And the translation is actually the word Jakare means to remember, right? So the translation is let, and who is the subject? As you can see that the king. So let the king remember, or may the king remember. That's the translation of Joseph. Look at this. This is a shapat, uh, which means to judge, and the real subject is following after the verb. So this is the Joseph, but unfortunately, we don't have any clue. Even we don't have na. Even we don't have what is it? The third shortening. So in this case, it could be either simple prefix form for the third person or Joseph. And in this case, it's you have really confusion. But once again, the context will enable you to discern whether this one is passive or simple prefix form for the third person. In this case, it should be understood as a passive. Okay, so the translation is, "May the Lord judge." This is the same as well. So we cannot see any clue. We don't have na, we don't have any shortening at end, but the context tells us that this one must be just see. So the translation is, may Yahweh, may the Lord forgive your servant. Okay, so I need to let you know that Joseph is one of the most tricky one. And if you start reading Hebrew Bible, and you will see that Joseph is a less frequent than prefix form, of course. But it doesn't mean that you will have just a little uses of Joseph in the Bible. In fact, you will notice that there are many Joseph form. So if you look at the analysis of Bible works, then it is say that it is Joseph in meaning, but not in the form. That means we cannot see any clue in terms of appearance, but in terms of meaning, it should be understood as a Joseph. But you will see that if you are dealing with a third head verb and then shortening is taking place, then the Bible works analysis will say, okay, it is Joseph in meaning as well as in the form. Okay, so that's how you're going to see uh, the analysis of our great teacher Bible work. By the way, I think you need to fall in love with this man or this girl. Okay, Bible works amazing. I thank God for the creation of this Bible works, and I think in Hebrew 3 it will help you a lot. So, by the way, do you have Bible works?
Professor,
Yeah,
the Bible Works has gone out of business for 2 years.
I know, but I think you can still get some files.
Okay,
Even we do have here on campus.
okay.
So I
I'm
think
going
it
to download
was,
it. Yeah.
yeah, it was produced until the version of 10, Fireworks 10. The 10, the latest one. So I have 8. But anyway, if you can get it, then that's amazing. So that's it. Let me move on. Well, actually, this table is quite important in terms of having clear understanding of all indicators of fixed form, prefix form, and just see. Okay. Let's look at it. Okay, the first line is all about bana. Okay, so a fixed form of bana is bana, and then prefix form bana is ibne. Okay, and then for the adjective form, event. So now, what can you see in terms of a fixed and prefix form? Everything seems to be quite straightforward. And as you can see that for the adjective, shortening is taking place. In fact, the third hair is not supposed to be dropped off, just to the for the prefix form with a verb conjugacy. If you are dealing with a third hair verb used in the prefix form with a verb conjugacy, then the third hair should be there. Okay, so you can see that shortening is taking place here. Then why? Because this is adjusted. And asa, Allah, la, they are all the third head verbs. So we don't have any problem recognizing them as affix and prefix. But as you can see, we don't have the third head with a verb conjugacy. Of course, must be the third person prefix pronoun. So these are all used in the adjective form. So the clear indicator that we can see from those examples is that the shortening at the end of the verb is taking place. Can you see that? So you need to see the difference between adjective form and then the prefix form. As you can see that we must have the third head at the end with a verb conjugacy. Okay? So then let's move on. So now, let's go back. No, I think we don't need to. So we need to know the difference between these two examples. Actually, they are all dealing with the same root letters, haya. Then what is the major difference between them? In fact, you can see on the right one, we can see the third hair, and then this is dealing with all the root letters, including the third hair. So this one must be what? Prefix form, and this one must be adjective form. Okay? So the adjective form is ordinarily identical to the prefix form. However, if there are two forms of the prefix, as happens with the third day verbs and yehiye and yehi, the adjective will use the shorter form. Without the verb conversive, the apocryphated form must be adjective. This fancy English expression, apocryphated, which means the shortening at the end of a verb. So anyway, it's identical word somehow. So the shortening refers to the subtraction from the end of a word. So it's just all about the fact that the third hair is missing, and then it is technically called shortening. Okay, that's it. Let me move on. Here we have an example. Biomed, please don't be confused. Some of you analyze as what was it? Participle form because of holem above the prefix pronoun. Okay, you need to really pay attention to this. This is the most commonly used verb in the Bible. So then you will not be even required to analyze it anymore. But anyway, biomer means what? Amar, Kai, prefix, 3MSG, verb conversive, and he said. Who is saying? Elohim, so God. So now we have two uses of haya. Okay. What can you see here? Actually, you may say, oh, this is a haya, and then the third he is dropped off. So now it must be the adjusting form. You're right. But what about the second usage? Oh, Pastor, I can see the third he. Okay, it's missing. Then it must be the adjustive. No. Why? Because this shortening is taking place simply because of the presence of Bob conversive. In this case, this one is not just but simply the prefix form with verb conversion. But this one is just sip. So then what is our translation? And God said, let it be. All right? So this is just sip. Haya, kar, just sip, and 3 MSG. So still you need to put all the PGN. Okay? But the form is not prefix, but should be just sip. Okay? So one more time, the analysis is haya, kar. The form is just sip. What about PGN? It's the same. 3 MSG. Special feature? None. Okay? Since you already put just sip, you don't need to put anything under special feature. And what about the translation? Let him or let it be. Okay? I think the Beatles song Let It Be is inspired by this. Let it be. Okay? Whether or not you believe it. Okay, so just and let it be. And what is the subject? Or do you know or? Have you ever memorized this word? It, it means light. So the translation, let the light be. Okay, or you can even use the meaning of there is for haya. Okay, so the translation is let there be light or let light be. Okay, stop there and then you need to analyze this one again. And this one is haya, kal, prefix form. And one more time, I'm emphasizing this. Fix and 3 MSG, Bob conversion. And he or it was. So the translation is this one is the subject, and you can say and light was. Okay, or and there was light. Translation Genesis 1 3. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so then I think you need to understand how we can recognize the receive. So if you are dealing with a third head verb, then praise the Lord, because you can expect a shortening at the end. You are dealing with a receive. But when it comes to the ordinary usage of the Hebrew verbs, the most Hebrew verbs, then you cannot really expect the presence of shortening. And if you have particle na, then always think about those possibilities. Okay. Um, this one, let's take a look at this. In fact, do you think this is verb conversive? No, because in order for us to have a verb conversion, it should be hatta and then dageshi should be there. But sometimes even dageshi will not come for some reasons. So I don't want to say that dagesh should be always the textbook, indicator. No, but hatta is quite important on the verb. Okay, so this is not verb conversive. So this one is verb conjunction. And we do still have this form. If this is not verb conversive, then it doesn't affect the vowel system like the way it did for this one. Okay. So being a verb conjunction, it has nothing to do with it. So this one, you can treat this combination as if you have just two independent uh, aspects, verb conjunction and prefix form. So understanding that this verb will not affect this following uh, prefix form, we don't have any reason why we don't have the he. So this means, okay, this one is a shortening. That's why it is used as let him build. So it is used in the jussive form. Okay, let's move on. Well, look at this. With verb conversive, it's a banana, but a third he is dropped off because of verb conversive. Then the translation is simply verb conversive. Also, haya, again, this is verb conversive. And Allah, this one is verb conversive. So these are all the third he verbs. And then when they are attached to verb conversive, being used in the form of prefix form for the third person, then this one is simply referring to the prefix form, verb conversive. So then the translation is and Noah built and it was and Moses went up. So you cannot see the sense of Joseph. So probably if you have a verb conversive form, okay, third he and third he verbs, and then you cannot see the third he because of a verb conversive, then you better stay with the possibility of prefix form. Okay. Okay, so another lesson. Romero, would you read, please?
Negation of the hortatives and Josephs. In general, Joseph and hortative verbs are negated with the al. This construction expresses a negative wish or a middler form of prohibition than that expressed by law, plus the prefix. The particle na is sometimes attached to al with the make
Okay.
al alna.
Uh-huh.
Alna um, ni niba, nibara, do not
No,
let us perish.
no, Buddha. Okay, so
Vaya,
you can stop there. So, what will happen if a judgesive form is used together with the sense of negation? What do we expect? Mm, I think we can see the clue of judgesive form, such as shortening. But since the shortening, the symptom of shortening will not be expected all the time, then still we need to focus on um, the context to be able to recognize just C form. But if once again, the first example is quite good one because it comes with na. Okay. And what about this? Oh, this one is not for just C, but this one is for causative. So it tries to tell us that um, when we need to negate that quotative and jussive, then we are going to use the negative particle al. And we have talked about this before, the difference between law and al. So law is normally used for the prohibition for like permanent commandment and the serious one. And then al is for more about the situation of like temporary one, okay, and the specific one. So In order for us to have the concept of negation, then normally the negative particle R is used. Okay, so as it is here, so you can see that the negative particle R, which means not, and then na has something to do with the usage of causative or jussive. Okay, so you can still put the meaning of please or now. And what about this? Why is that we have ahe ending at the end? We don't need to have ahe ending because this is simply prefix form, first person. Then why is that we have ahe ending? As I said, this is the most important indicator of cohortative. So you can see that this one is cohortative, and then this is confirmation. Oh, okay, that's why we have na. Okay, then what is the translation? Then you simply put do not as a negative commandment. So don't let us perish. Okay? And it's what is this? This is not quotative because quotative must be the first person, and then this one is the yod. So it has something to do with the third person. And praise the Lord, this is a kara, and there must be the third hair, and then we cannot see the third hair. And praise the Lord, this is the clear indicator of Joseph. Okay, so then now, then you need to put it as a Joseph, but together with R, then you are going to simply emphasize the meaning of don't let, do not let. Okay, so ak means anger, and then what kind of anger? Your anger. So, and do not let your anger burn. Preposition be, ebet, servant. What kind of servant? Your servant. So the preposition be is used for against. So then, and do not let your anger burn against your servant. That's how we can translate it. Okay, is that clear? When it comes to translation of negation of the quotatives and Josephs, simply add the meaning of do not, and you can say let. Right? Let's move on. So this is the analysis of today's verb. Haya, Kal, Joseph, 3 MSG, non-special future. The meaning is let him be or let it be. Okay, another thing. So as I said, the second verb is used in a special form again. So this one is called passive participle. Okay. So this form, Baruch, in which a shurek appears between the second and the third letters of the root, is called the kal passive participle. In the Bible, the kal passive participle is regularly used as an adjective rather than as a verbal construction. So this is how we are going to analyze the verb. Baruch, Barak, Kal, and you can say you are not supposed to say participle. I think it's sorry, my apologies. Must be passive participle in order for us to see the difference between passive participle and then the ordinary participle. So please include passive participle. Okay, passive participle, and then it has no person but only gender and numbers, the masculine singular. Um, special future none, meaning blessed. Okay, remember in the Bible, the kal passive participle is regularly used as an adjective rather than as a verbal construction, but you have to analyze it as a verb. I think without looking at any specific ending at the end, then you need to say this one is masculine singular. But I think in case that this adjective form of the verb is used in modifying in like feminine nouns or feminine subject, then it will have a little variation to have the form of feminine. So without looking at it, you just stay with masculine singular. Let me move on. So translation, the literal translation is may the Lord your God be blessed. Okay. The Lord your God. So how are you going to put the sense of Joseph? It should be either let or may. And as I said, it's very obvious that the third has it dropped off. And why did it happen? Because this is Joseph. So you need to put either let or may. So if you want to put let, then let the Lord your God be. What is the meaning of this? You can just treat it as an adjective and blessed. May the Lord your God be blessed, or let the Lord your God be blessed. But may carries the better nuance here. KJV says, "Blessed be the Lord thy God." NIV, praise be to the Lord your God. NRS, blessed be the Lord your God. Okay, but they are all carrying the nuance of Joseph. Okay, okay, let's look at this. So now we are dealing with quantitative, imperative, and just see. And close your eyes and let me know. In terms of quantitative, and what do you expect? What indicators do you have? Of course, quantitative and jussive, they will be coming in the form of prefix. But the form is not prefix. But the form should be addressed as qualitative or jussive. But in terms of the indicator of qualitative, then what do you need to remember? The most important indicator? Yes, a, he, ending. And then the translation is let me or let us. All right. So I want to say a, he can be understood as a lengthening. Okay. It usually happens. And if you have particle na, praise the Lord. What about imperative form? Imperative form? Second person, and then imperative form will be coming together with specific vowel pointing. What are they? What are they? Yes. Yes, shua and holem. And there is no difference between imperative and infinitive construct in terms of the indicator. But let's look at this. It says may lengthen. What does it mean by may lengthen? It's not always or usually lengthen, but may lengthen. Do you remember empathic hair? Empathic hair? Yes, it refers to that one. But emphatic hair will not take place all the time for the usage of imperative. But still, the idea of what is the change the vowel point is there. So compared to the recognition of causative and jussive, imperative much easier because of the specific vowel pointing and ending. But sometimes you will have emphatic care. So in terms of lengthening, it may happen. Okay. What about jussive? Then what do you need to remember? Maybe shortening will take place, but for what specific verb? It must be third head verbs. But when it comes to other verbs, okay, which are not the third head verb, then you cannot expect the shortening. So it said may shorten. Okay, do you understand? Okay. So in terms of form, we are totally done today because we have dealt with every single form. So prefix, affix, in imperative, and then infinitive, participle, right? And recently we have covered qualitative and passive. So But quotative and cursive is quite unique because they are simply using the form of prefix, but and yet you have to put the name quotative and cursive as the form. Okay, let's move on. Professor Labaya.
Yep.
Okay.
Our assignment is page 198. Page 198, number 1, number 2, 3, and 4. Just 4 sentences.
Okay, we've got 20 minutes, so I want to just move on to deal with this. Okay, before you go back to your in before you deal with your assignment, let's do this. Number 6, 7, 8, 9. Uh, Number 6 will be taken by Amos. 7, Albert. Romeo will take 8. Stephen 9. Phineas, oh, it's quite long. Okay, Phineas 10. Okay. And 11 for James, 12 for Chumpy, 13 for Sharon, 14 for Pierce, 15 Kanae, 16 Jim, 17 Ami. Where's the Samson? But yeah, just do it right now. I will give you 5 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Control. Ah. All right, number 6. Amos, are you ready?
So, yeah. Okay,
Yes.
so verb analysis. Verb analysis. The verb is like the first word. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
The first word. The root is lamed, kaf, het,
Mm-hmm.
and stem cow. Form Joseph, and special PGN 3MPL.
Mm-hmm.
Special feature verb conjunction, and there's na particle like a Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meaning of that is let them take or let them receive. And the translation of the sentence is let them receive from the 5 horses.
All right. Okay. So yeah, you're right. And then you said this is just your form because of the presence of na, right?
Yes.
You're right. So uh, without looking at the most important indicator of justice, which is shortening, because this is not a third head verb, so we cannot expect the presence of shortening. But it's good that we still have na. Then having the particle na, then you better think about justice possibility. So you're right. So don't forget to put the meaning of verb conjunction. So you need to start with and or but. So and let them take. Kamisha, what does it mean? 5. You're
5.
right. 5.
I mean in 5. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 from the
5
horses.
horses.
Good job. Any question? Okay, then let's move on to Albert.
Which the verb will be pana.
Okay, so you
Stem will
said
be
that the second one is a verb.
yes.
Go ahead.
Um, Stem will be call. Form will be prefix.
Okay.
BGN 3MSG.
Mhm.
Special features is Lee. I don't know, that one is preposition because it's not in front. So, but it's connected with market.
Mhm.
The meaning is he will build to me.
Yeah, to
Translation,
me or for me. Good
yeah,
job.
for me.
Mhm.
So translation, he will be build for me a house.
What is the final translation again?
He will build for me a house.
Okay, good job. But I told you, what is the reason why we have who? IPP, who? So this one refers to he, and then this 3 MSG pronominal suffix indicates he. I told you if we have an additional IPP, then you need to emphasize the doubling of the subject. So it normally intensify the action. So you can say surely or certainly. Okay, so he will surely build a house for me. Now, the reason why we have this one is because, it tests us to see whether or not we are able to see the uses of just see. So this is a third verb, bana, right? So without having the shortening at the end, it cannot be just see. Okay, but you are dealing with a third adverb. So certainly should be there if you are dealing with a adjective. Okay, so you did a good job, Albert. Let's move on. Who is next? Number 8.
Me, sir.
Oh, Romero. Okay.
Yeah, the verb is baro.
Mm-hmm.
It is a call,
Mm-hmm.
passive participle,
Mm-hmm.
MSG,
Mm-hmm.
no special feature,
Mm-hmm.
meaning blessed.
Great. You did a
Yeah,
good job.
second letter is Adonai, Elohim, Lord God.
Mm-hmm.
Adoni is master,
Okay, so what
and
kind of a
Abraham,
master? What kind of a
my
master?
my
My.
master,
Yeah, so ni, the
because
specific
the word
ending
ni,
ni is a pronominal suffixer. So my Lord.
master.
Okay. So then what is your final translation?
Receive the Lord God of my master Abraham.
All right. Blessed is the Lord. Okay. Good job. Number 9.
I do it.
Yeah.
The verb is the first word,
Mm-hmm.
and the root is salak.
Uh-huh.
PL,
Uh-huh.
uh, prefix, and 3 MPL,
Mm-hmm.
va converses,
Mm-hmm.
translation, and they send away.
Right.
So the translation is
Mm.
and they send him and his women away.
Mm.
His women and all things to him. All things belong to him away.
Right. Good job. So this one, you're right. It's a PS stem. And then these are all coming after the definite DDO, direct object marker. So this one is what? Sending what? Him? Sending what? His woman. It's a isha actually. And then since this one is attached to the pronominal suffix, then it takes that um, construct form. Okay. So another what? All that belongs to him. So actually preposition lamed has the possessive meaning. So you can say all that is or are for him to him, or all that belongs to him, and everything is acceptable. With the idea of possessive meaning. Okay. Number 10, Phineas.
Actually, I didn't finish.
Okay. Then let's move on to lesson 11. I mean, number 11.
Yes, 11.
Okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
the verb is the first one. It's Ahmad,
Uh-huh.
and it's ka. The letter is ayin, mem, and dalet.
Uh-huh.
Cow stem,
Uh-huh.
adjective form, 3MSG, special feature, na particle, and
Uh-huh.
meaning let him stand.
Uh-huh.
And then David, and then
Uh-huh.
Lepana is before me,
Uh-huh.
and key is for. And then
Uh-huh.
Masa is another verb, cow stem, affix form, 3MSG, no, special feature is key,
Mm-hmm.
meaning for he found.
Mm-hmm.
And hen is grace.
Mm-hmm.
Be I be I is
Mm-hmm.
my eye. So the final translation is let David stand before me, for he found grace in my eye.
Okay. You did a good job. You did a good job. So now the question is, how did you know that this is a Joseph?
because it's third person and it has na particle.
All right, good job. So without the presence of na, it's a bit challenging, right, to recognize it as a just see. But if you have just na, then always good for you to think about possibility of just see. Okay. Phineas, you don't need to finish everything, but let's just do as much as you are done. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so okay. First,
Biomed Adonai, you don't need to do it. Okay. So, and the Lord said to
yes, sir.
Moses,
To
and then can you move
Moses,
on? Uh-huh.
Bal, uh, Be, Belek, Belektica,
Mm-hmm.
Belektica. In it is this is Halak,
Halak,
Halak, Halak, Halak. Let's see.
stem,
Stem, cow,
form.
Infinitive construct.
Great. Why do you think this is infinitive construct? What are the clues?
The like infinitive construct. Let's see.
Okay, what kind of thing can be expected for infinitive construct? Normally, infinitive construct comes with a specific component, such as
Yes, sir. That is infinitive construct. Share and whole hamster.
right. But in this case, it doesn't work. Then how did you know? There are two important indicators here. So the first he is missing. Right? Do
Yes.
you remember? But halak follows the pattern of the first yod verb. And what is it here?
Yes. That is prefix be and sure.
Okay, you're talking about a prefix, but you're talking about, or what is it? The preposition be.
Be.
All right, now prefix.
Yeah.
Don't be confused. It's a preposition be, and shua indicates
Yes.
this one is an infinitive construct, because only infinitive construct can come together with a preposition. You're right,
Yes.
Phineas. And another thing. So in case of first Yoruba infinitive construct, then what is the most important indicator? You need to let me know. As you can see, what addition you have here?
That is ka, the second like halak.
Okay, this is a halak.
Yes.
Okay, then would you let me know the last one? What is this?
Ka, that is a pronominal suffix. To MSG.
All right, good job. Then why is that we have tab here?
Halak, tab. That is the affix
pronoun. But you said this is infinitive construct, so
yes.
you're confused now. Okay, Phineas, perhaps you forgot this. Tab is simply the replacement, the compensation of the first yod, which is dropped off. Okay, remember this. When the first yod verb is missing, then especially in the infinitive construct, then the tab augment is coming.
Right.
Right. And then third here, for the third day infinitive construct, then it should be ought replacement. Right. You did a good job. So what is your translation then?
Halak, that is to the Lord said to Moses to walk.
Okay, hold on. What is your translation of this one? How are you going to translate infinitive construct used with be preposition together with the pronominal suffix? Do you remember this?
to, let's see, to you walked.
No, Phineas, actually, if you have the preposition lamed and
Yeah,
infinitive
that's
construct, then translation is to
to
halak means what?
walk.
Walk. But this one doesn't come with preposition lamed.
Yes.
Then what is the translation?
Okay.
Do you remember? In this case, you need to put when, not to. So
When.
and then the pronominal suffix functions as the subject. So when
Yes. When you
you
walked.
walk,
When you walk.
when
Yeah.
you walk. Right. This is the important the lessons that you need to remember when we are talking about the infinitive construct, especially dealing with um, be and ke, the prepositions. Okay. So I think Phineas, you need to take a review that specific section. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
I think we better stop here.
Okay.
And then going to see you on Tuesday. But even though I'm not going to make the announcement regarding your translation quiz, but always be ready for the quiz. Okay, so the translation quiz 7 will be what I'm going to offer next Tuesday. Okay, so also vocabulary quiz 6 is now ready on the Moodle. So you can go and download it and then start taking it, submit it before Tuesday class. Do you have any question?
Yes.
Okay, Stephen.
In case of assignments, um, should we put the possibility of Joseph in third person office, like the form? I mean the form.
Ah, so the question is, whenever you are dealing with third person, then do we require to include the possibility of just if all the time?
Yes.
You don't need to, but not all the time. But if you think this passage should be somehow related to the just if form, then you are welcome to do it. I know, but if you have to do it, then you always need to put just if for third person. Am I right? Most of the time. So you don't need to do that. Okay? Alabaya, am I right?
If it's in jussive form, he needs,
Mm-hmm.
if it's in jussive form, he needs to indicate that it's jussive.
Mm-hmm.
If it's clear that it's a jussive form, especially if it has na attached to it, then it's clear that it's a jussive form. Then that needs to be included. But if it's what's the word? If it's ambiguous, then he can put the one he thinks that it should be. And of course, later on, you can be able to justify which is which. But for now, if it has na, of course, you know that it's jussive. You need to put jussive under form.
Yeah, but don't worry because whatever you are dealing with in Hebrew 2,
Two.
especially in terms of Joseph, then we
Mm,
expect that maybe helping indicators like na or
no,
the shortening of he. So if
mm,
they're looking at it, I think you better stay with prefix form. Even though
mm,
you put, let's say, a prefix form, and then it is just if without having na and scrutiny, then I think we
mm,
cannot say it's totally wrong because it
mm,
still, appears as the form of prefix form. But if you have the concrete clue of shortening
mm,
and na, and then you
yeah,
cannot really address it as just if, then we need to deduct the mark.
mm,
That's how it works. Is that clear?
yeah.
Okay, then thank you for the question. Any more? Okay. So God bless you, and then gonna see you next week on Tuesday.
Mm.
Bye.
God bless, sir. Thank
God
you.
bless you.
See
Have a
you.
Bye.
wonderful
Weekend.
weekend.